My name is Erika Petrelli. We are the leadership program, and we're so happy that you joined us for this conversation today. We're so happy to have our Director of Staff Development here today, Greg Shamie, to talk about this really important conversation of how are we building our bench and what are we thinking about when we're thinking about training. So Greg, take it away and welcome again, everyone.
All right. Thanks, Erika. Hi, everybody. Welcome to building our team, building our bench. I love this concept of team. I'm very excited to welcome you all here. If you could put in the chat box for me a little hi and where you're coming from. Love to just get a sense of where folks are virtually connecting from. And if you are part of a team, what's your department and or how many people are on your team? I'm in part of the leadership development department, and we're a team of two, Erika and I. That's an example. I'd love to get a sense of who's part of what team and where you're coming from. Erika, are you seeing anything come up?
Right now, I'm just looking at all the great places we're from. So we're north of Chicago, we're in NYC, Missouri, Utah, Vermont.
Yes, that is fantastic. I love it. Oh, yeah, look at that. Massachusetts still coming. Good afternoon. All right, NYC here. I work in higher ed. I'm on the leadership team, supervise 10 college counselors. Beautiful. From right at school, director of implementation, oversee 2 people. Excellent. I'm loving this. Anything else you see there, Erika, that I'm missing?
We just have a great range from supervising no one but ourselves, supervising a team of 1, to overseeing that ripple effect of admin team of 6 ripples out to 40. So really a great range of our team size.
Excellent. Thanks for putting that in the chat box. And I want to welcome your voice in as well. So if anybody wants to speak at any point throughout this, please just put your name in the chat box so I see it and we see it, and just then unmute and speak. That would be fantastic. And I welcome you in at any point that something gets sparked for you. So let's start digging in because our time is so short. Our quote for the day here is, the strength of the team is each individual member. The strength of each member is the team. So I love Phil Jackson. I know he didn't do so well as a general manager with the Knicks, but he was a phenomenal coach and did win 11 rings. So when I think of like fabulous teams in the history, I definitely think of the Bulls and his coaching of the Bulls and all the victories they had and all the rings they won. And then he went on to LA and did the same kind of thing, which was pretty amazing. So what kind of teams do you think of when you think of the greatest teams ever? In our journeys coming across these incredible teams, does anybody have any come up for them that's interesting? That was one that came up for me. And you can put it in the chat box. Any great teams that stick out in history to you, just to get our brains percolating on that. And that's going to lead us into our own experience on teams a little bit. All right. I don't see anything coming up yet. Anybody have anything? That's okay too. We can just think about it and let that sit with us as we move forward into our own reflection. So when were you part of an amazing team? That's a really fun question for me, because I've been on so many different kinds of teams in my 50 years of life. And just thinking back to the amazing ones and what were the essential elements that made that team successful. I'm thinking now specifically to a work team. Usually I go to sports, but I'm thinking of a work experience I had where we came together to write a curriculum for a client, and we had to write 45 lessons. And our team was a team of 3 at the core. And I was just astounded by the communication and the commitment, the passion, and the search for clarity that the team members brought every time we got together. And those are like some really essential elements that stick out to me in terms of that incredible team triad that I was part of. And then that triad expanded out into an even bigger team to actually write a lot of the curriculum. And the way that those new players came onto our roster and we're given tasks, and we're able to deliver those tasks in a way that felt super like empowering for everybody involved, was very motivating. So again, I ask you, when were you part of an amazing team, and what was an essential element? Just put it in the chat box, and or if you'd like to speak it out, I'd love to hear somebody's voice too. So I welcome you in.
I can go.
Okay, great. Hi, who's that?
My name is Juan. I'm the one who put in the group chat that I work in higher education, supervise 10 college counselors. So I want to talk about a previous position. It was a smaller team of 5, and I worked at a nonprofit in the world of mentoring, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, plug there. And what that team was, my supervisor, and it was a team of 5 of us, she was so transparent. She was, I think, always one to break the ice for us. Awkward moments, silly moments, just led by example, not afraid to be herself. Apart from the transparency, I think I liked how proactive she was. I think if there was like going to be a tough meeting, she's, hey team, I want to let you all know this afternoon we're going to go over some really intense stuff. Don't be alarmed. Always made us feel secure. And we were really part of her team. And I took a lot from her into my role now of supervising 10 college counselors. Okay, how was she? She was comical. She was transparent. She was proactive. So I'm trying to be the best for my team. Yeah.
I love it. And I love, Juan, thanks so much for jumping in and sharing that. It really lights up the space. Thank you for that. And I love how it impacted you and how it impacted you moving forward in trying to not replicate, but also role model some of those really positive qualities that she expressed in the experiences you had on that team. As educators, as leaders, as teachers, we're always trying to role model, as parents, trying to role model what we are trying to get across. And it's not always going to be done, especially as parents. I see my children, they're not doing what I'm role modeling. But I think the key word there is yet. And so having trust that if I can role model those excellent positive qualities, that great things are going to come in those that I'm leading. Thank you for that. Erika, anything else coming up? I saw a few things, but I have a hard time reading it.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stuff in the chat. First of all, a few people highlighted the Olympic sports teams when you were asking for general examples. Others' minds went to the examples of sports team. And Frankie had the personal experience of a sport team as well, in the absence of ego. So having that one common goal that you often see on a thriving sports team. But what I really love also that's coming up is there's some qualities like communication and leadership in thriving teams. But Donna shared that this has eluded her so far, this idea of a really amazing team. And Allison talks about how Allison's team is sometimes some years are better than others. So I liked the range of answers in the chat box that for some of us, this is still something that's out there yet, like you said, to be achieved. For others, our same team goes in and out. And for others, we really have examples that are strong for us. It's all showing up, Greg.
It's so fantastic. Thank you, Erika. I really appreciate that. And thank you, everybody, for jumping in. Obviously, this is hitting a string for us. So that's exciting. And so let's keep digging in here and see what we can find. Just to give us a little focus, how do we build our team to perform at maximum capacity? That's our core question. And really looking at what can I do, whether I'm a player on the team or a leader on the team, how do I step into my leadership, whatever my role is, I think is really super important in this equation. And as we keep opening up our thoughts, I love this. The thing that I'm going to highlight in this short session we have is a study that was done by Google. And they had the luxury to really study 180 of their teams to find out what the most essential elements were that made for the most effective teams. And they called this project Project Aristotle. It came after Project Oxygen, which they really looked at the managers and which managers were the most effective in creating the teams that would produce the best results and be the most engaged. And the same with this study of 180 teams, they really wanted to get to the core of what were the top kernels that were really making teams perform at maximum capacity. So that's what we're going to look at. And then that will lead us into kind of new employees and younger generation employees, and how do we retain and train them in order to continue to build our organization's capacity on all fronts. I love this quote, "The whole is greater than the sum of its parts." Always resonates for me. Anytime I'm in, now we're virtual, but anytime we're together, we would be in a circle, and I would want to see all of you and be with all of you. And I would also highlight this quote because I feel like each of us brings such unique amazingness. And I love that about each individual, yet together the potential is limitless. And I get very excited by the limitless potential in things where it's continuous learning. So I always love that the group is more powerful than me as a concept. And so as we go into this study here, the researchers on the project found that what really mattered was less about who was on the team and more about how they work together. So I thought that was really relevant, because a lot of times we look at the gaps, right? Seems to be like a focus to the gaps or what's not working. And I putting the light on the strengths and this idea of collaboration. That if we put the light on collaboration, that suddenly collaboration will start to happen. And I don't know, this resonated for me right off the top. And here we go. So the 5 essential elements that they found in this really fantastic study, and I forgot to mention, the study came from multiple levels. So it wasn't just the executive team. It came from the middle managers. It also came from folks on the ground. So it came from many different perspectives. And this is what they came up with. Coming in at number 5 was impact. Coming in at number 5 was impact. Now we're going to go into each element. So I'm just going to share 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we'll go into each one a little bit deeper. Number 4 was meaning. And this is what was most important to these players on the teams that did the most effective, had the most effective output, were the most engaged all around, were the best producing teams. Number 3 was structure and clarity. People on the team really needed structure and clarity in order to perform at a very high level. Number 2, ahead of structure and clarity came dependability. I love this word in life, not just in work. Such an important word, dependability. And the essential element that came in first, ahead of all of these, actually, in terms of data, it was the most important piece, outweighing 2, 3, 4, and 5 altogether. Psychological safety. So the teams that were able to, the leaders that were able to create psychologically safe environments were the teams that, without a doubt, performed beyond expectations. Okay, any thoughts resonating? I just want to talk at you. So please jump in if anyone's, oh, I like this or that. What's this happening for me, or whatever, anything. Or chat box, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting that those things that aren't tangible are the things that really are important to people a lot of times. And I think we forget that a lot of times when we're trying to produce tangible things or tangible outcomes, that the things that aren't tangible are usually what are most important to people.
Frankie, good to hear your voice. I love your voice, by the way, and I'm so happy that you jumped in. And again, loving what you're saying. Why is that? Why are the things that we're most connected to not tangible? It's so true. And so what that says to me is we have to make them tangible. We have to work at breaking them down and really understanding them so that we can bring that to and put it on the table for our team members. So I love that. Really great. This shows one that folks, oh, I just lost it. You see it, Erika?
Yeah, it's an important one, that folks want to be valued and work in a setting that they want to feel connected to the work, mission, and company. Allison also added that the hard way, Allison's learned the hard way the importance of clarity or the need for staff to understand why requests are being made. So that greater why, connection to purpose and mission, and the soft skills, all kind of echoing and emphasizing what Frankie just said.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Very, very on point. We want to feel valued. We want to feel heard. We want to feel like we matter. And if that is the case, then we are going to be engaged and we are going to perform better, right? If I feel like I matter, if I feel like my voice is important, if I feel like I'm valued, I'm going to perform better. I love that those things are connected. That is really tangible, right? Excellent. Loving everybody's input. Very inspiring. Let's keep moving here. So now we're going to go into each one. So for impact, team members think that their work matters and creates change. Okay, so now we're going to be highlighting a lot of the stuff that we were just saying, but let's see what further comes up for us, right? Impact is about team members thinking their work matters and creates change. Now, this is subjective to each individual, right? It's my subjective judgment that my work is making a difference, seeing and feeling my contribution. That is really important. So how am I seeing and feeling my contribution in the work I do? And a lot of times we work so hard, we don't see that. We don't see the impact that we're actually having, and we forget why we got into this a lot of times. And so going back to that moment sometimes can really refresh or ignite my engagement again. So that impact, the statement they came up with in the article when they were measuring this, I think, was I understand how teams work contributes to the organizational goals. So I understand how my team's work contributes to the organization's goals. That can also be like a line of impact. So I thought that was interesting. Let's go to the next one, which to me would seem pretty similar. When I saw impact and meaning, I was like, oh, they're the same. But in the article, they break it down, or in the study, they break it down that work is personally important to team members. And they highlight the word personally. And then they really bring out this idea of finding purpose. So this kind of digging deeper for meaning. And for me as a leader, a lot of times I have to make the bigger picture clear for folks versus just the task getting done. But how does it connect to the bigger picture? And that can sometimes give meaning, finding a sense of purpose in either the work itself or the output. Again, this is personal. This could be helping the team succeed. It could be having the freedom to be creative and self-express the way you want to. It could be about financial security for some. It could be about helping me to support my family, right? This can bring meaning to my work. There's so many personal elements that can play into it. So impact, meaning.
Greg, I want to highlight what Tyler wrote in the chat box because it connects impact and meaning, which is the connection to the big picture, stepping back and seeing the masterpiece, not just working on it. I love that so much. We're so many times working on the masterpiece. It's like seeing the forest for the trees. So we're in the trees and we never ever step back and look at the greater forest that we're in, so that seeing the impact, which is the masterpiece, but then also connecting to the fact that we're contributing to that masterpiece. So I just wanted to highlight that comment.
I love it. I love it so much. Thanks, Tyler. Love that thought. That's a deep thought. Important.
And sometimes you just have to add a little happy tree here and a little happy tree there.
Yes, indeed. And sometimes for me, I like to go to the 30,000 feet above perspective to see it, because then it makes me really small. And it's not just about the task or what we're going for in that moment, but there's a bigger viewpoint, right? But I like the happy trees very much.
Donna also talked about how the input affects the output. So I want to make sure we spoke that out loud as well. Our individual input affects the team's output. So I want to.
Yeah, No, it's such an important piece. Even just hearing that fires me up. Like hearing that my input is going to impact the team's output. Again, just even thinking back to sports teams that I've been a part of, that's what excited me. That I was one of 9 players trying to win a game, working together to try and win a game on a baseball field. It was very exciting. But that my input, either getting a base hit or stealing a base or getting a ground ball and throwing the person out at first, whatever it is, was making it a contribution to the output of our group goal.
And then the flip side of that powerful statement is that the input that's given to us, what we're given by our supervisors and our managers, affects our ability, the output that we offer the team. So what's being given to us, so that what we're giving to the team. So it's a great cycle just in that small statement.
I love it. And I always think about, is the input I'm giving deflating or inflating? Right? A lot of times the intention is to inspire and motivate, but a lot of times I see the deflate. And I have to be so aware that there's so many variables that can be striking somebody, even though it's non-intentional, that can deflate them. And to me, that's such a sensitivity that I really work at as a person who's coaching others and leading others, is that sensitivity of when is something I said hitting somebody the wrong way. So it's really important. So thank you for that. Really great. All right, let's go on to structure and clarity. For those who like structure and clarity, you can give a cheer and move your body around just to get us moving a little bit. Team members have clear roles, plans, and goals, right? That's pretty basic, but how hard is it to continually clarify a person's role, to continually clarify what the plan of action is, and to create goals and then to hold accountability towards achieving them? This is something every organization is challenged with, especially when things are busy. And structure and clarity becomes a core point for me in this understanding of job expectations and process for fulfilling these expectations. That's continuous consequences of one's performance. And like I said about goals, having the company goals, then the department goals that feed into that, and then the individual goals that continue to all align. Like, that sounds great on paper, but very challenging to do effectively. I see something coming up here. I learned to take advantage of biweekly one-on-one check-ins and mid-year reviews, end-of-year reviews to go over goals. I love it. Yes. The one-on-one is such a powerful piece. We do tons of work on that with different organizations to help supervisors and managers really effectively use those one-on-ones, Juan. And what you're saying is a best practice to really be able to elevate, listen, hear where they're at, put it on the table, have a visual of that goal, right? Because a lot of times we write it and then it goes into a book or something and we never see it again until it's time to review the goal. So that visibility piece is huge, and that check-in piece is huge. I love that. Great. Let's keep moving here. Oh my gosh, we're at 12:27. Okay, number 4, dependability. So I said I love this word. Team members get tasks done on time and strive for a high bar of excellence. In the study, they highlight team members get tasks done on time, and that there's a reliability that people are going to complete quality work, right? And I love that. I think that is so important, right? Knowing that my team members are going to actually do what the task needs to be done, and that's going to feed us moving forward. That is like thrilling. And there's this idea of follow through that they don't mention, which for me, dependability is accessed on. It's this idea of follow through, which I guess is the same thing. But like when I think of Erika, she's my supervisor, like her follow through is amazing. Like she says she's going to do something and she does it. And every time she does that, it like feeds me as her direct report. And there's something super powerful about leaders following through, as well as team members producing and being reliable in completing a task with quality. So I love this dependability piece. I think it's so important. And it makes me think of a personal interaction I had where I remember asking a friend at the time who was a mentor, he'd been married for like over 30 years. And I was like, what's the core key element? And he said, reliability. And that this core piece made me think of that. Like in their, 30 years of marriage, the one thing he kept highlighting was the reliability of his partner and him, and how much that is kept them together. So I think there's something deep there. Yeah, your bond. I like that. Yes, the bond, right? I got your back. So important. You got my back. So important. That's a bond. That's that dependability. We're there for each other. And that definitely fuels. Great. Thanks, Donna. Okay. Let's go on to the last one, which I was promoting as the most powerful one of all of them, psychological safety. I'm just going to, team members feel safe to take risks and feel vulnerable in front of one another. And it's a fascinating thing. Again, it feels non-tangible, right? Like, how do you create this? But it's when we feel safe to discuss ideas, when we feel safe to experiment, when we feel safe to take risks, to give feedback, and specifically a leader who is setting the tone around mistakes and learning from mistakes. And you can look at many different cultures, like company cultures, organizational cultures, and you can see the fear-based ones and how restricted players are based on the fears, right? Like that they're going to be punished and or fired and or terminated and or you name it. And how that really inhibits freedom and creativity and really the ability to perform at a very high level. And the opposite of that is really interesting. So creating psychological safety where we can actually learn from our mistakes, right? That mistakes are looked at as opportunities. How is that part of the team's DNA? And it's like really super important. Yeah, you want to share a little thought? I'd love to hear why this is interesting and true for you, if you can, and or if not, that's okay too. And if someone else wants to jump in on this one, but I'd love to hear someone else's perspective on this.
Yeah, I wrote that. I am, again, newer to my company and I have 10 folks, and for a couple of them say things that stand out to me, like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know what the word innovative meant. I never had someone tell me to be innovative, and innovation matters when you're working with students. And in my mind, I was like, damn, you've never really been told to explore different ways, be more creative. And I've learned that me telling folks to try new things and be innovative and research, and I'm not the expert, you may be, that really has shifted my team into trying new things. I guess more of the psychological safety that I've been learning, which I think is fantastic. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for bringing words to it. I love it. Really so important. And we don't know what kind of team experiences folks have had. And so a lot of them could be negative up to the point when they become part of my team, either as my teammate or as my team member. And so I think that's really important, not judging what's happened before, but just assessing what the needs are and being able to serve as effectively as possible based on those needs without judgment. Erika, did you want to say something? I saw a thought in your eyes, but I could be wrong.
No, you're not wrong at all. It may sound very tangential, but you asked. So last night I was doing a family workshop with a group of students, and we were making cards, and they were choosing what to make cards for. They could make for Mother's Day or teacher appreciation or spring or just someone that they love. And so we started by saying, I said, we're going to start by thinking about things that we're grateful for. Does anyone know what that means? The word gratitude or grateful. Have you heard that word before? And a little girl who was probably 6 years old said, she unmuted herself and she said, I think gratitude is when you tell someone that you love them. And I just was like, oh, yes. And I just was looking at Donna's comment about when you truly feel valued and everything that Juan was just saying. And that idea of psychological safety is when you feel the gratitude, the love that just surrounds you. It just can't be overstated.
I love that, Erica. And it's the verb. Like what it makes me think of is you love me bringing my best self, right? As my supervisor. And that is the love. You want me to be my best. Like we want our team members to bring their best because that's going to help all of us. So it becomes about figuring out how do we bring out the best in each other. And again, to me, that fires me up. That's super exciting. I'm like, okay, it's like an equation. I got to figure it out. Everyone's so different and so cool in their own way. You know, what a great example. Yes, Tatiana, I see a hand raised on my computer. I love that. I didn't see it in the video.
Hi, Greg. I was just wanted to say about psychological safety is that when you have new team members, it's also about building trust so that they believe that you also are okay with them failing, because sometimes people come, like just Juan was saying, people come from these environments where it's not okay. And so you have to keep proving that to people that it's okay and that you want to figure out what happened, not who did it. Or if you want to fix a problem, just to go through the motions every time of, no, it's okay. I just want to know what happened. Let's talk about that and how you do that to create that psychological safety so that people feel like it's okay to make mistakes and then say it was them when they made them, so that we can move forward and fix whatever happened.
Yes, yes. We want to hide our mistakes. That's the natural instinct. We don't want to show any weakness, any vulnerability. But again, the teams that are able to create an environment where you can share your sucky plates. We do an activity called sucky plates. And you write down all on the back of a paper plate, all the things you sucked at in work. And then you go around and you show people. and you just, it's really a hard activity, but it's amazing. And then you talk about it and process it. And it was a very powerful activity for us. Yeah, you may want to start with great plates, which is like celebrating the positive qualities about everybody and all that great stuff too. But but moving to sucky plates is really important too, and very impactful. That was a great transition, Tatiana. As we're moving towards close time, I just want to, these 5 elements again: psychological safety, dependability, structure and clarity, meaning and impact. And what you brought up about new employees, this was interesting. According to a recent survey PwC did with its millennial employees, that these are the top 6 things they are wanting or needing in the workplace: to be understood by their employer, the opportunity to learn and grow. That's really exciting. They want to be highly engaged. They want to make a difference. The authenticity of your company or your organization. What is the realness of it? And flexibility. So these were the top 6 things that came up in this study. And millennials are the biggest group now that are really impacting the workforce. So it's really important to look at what their needs are. And also Gen Z, with COVID having hit right in the midst of them graduating and or entering the workplace, the needs are really interesting. And we're seeing it with a lot of the organizations and companies and schools that we support. There's a real need to support the younger folks in the workplace around skill building, around emotional intelligence. We're doing tons of emotional intelligence workshops, really helping people figure out how to deal with all that has been going on and that's weighing on them. This new employees and retaining a younger workforce is such an important piece about creating an effective team that can perform at high levels. How are we welcoming in new players? How do we front load that time and energy and really be there for them to feel all the elements we just discussed and broke down? And it really is the art of the start that's going to help a team thrive. Right. And yeah, was that another hand, Tatiana, or is that the same hand?
No, it's a new hand. I just wanted to remind us that millennials turned 40. The oldest millennials turned 40, I think last year or the year before. So when we talk about millennials, they're a big age range, and some of them are 40 years old now. So it's not necessarily just the young people, air quotes, even though 40 is the new 30. It's still some of those millennials might be in managerial positions now, dealing with younger millennials.
Yeah, and we in the coaching arena, we do a lot of work with new managers, and really there is a high focus on new team members coming in and how they can best really from the beginning start strong with them and get those one-on-ones and front load them and really be there to listen to them and prioritize them and make them feel valued as they start to feel comfortable in a new unknown environment. So especially with the disconnection of what's happening and all the remote work, it's even harder. So it's way more challenging for folks to join a team now. So thoughts on that, on new employees or retaining the younger workforce, or anything that's resonating for anybody? Want to speak up and share a thought on any of that, or write in the thing, please do.
Greg, I just want to highlight and say it again, the art of the start, because I think when we think about bringing on new staff members, the traditional notion of the start is like bare bones requirements. Here's your paperwork training. Good luck to you, kid. And that there's no art in that kind of start. And we are getting better and collectively understanding, and what you've highlighted today is the importance of a connection to the why, the greater why, and the mission and purpose and your individual part in that. And that's the most important thing we can remember as we try to expand and grow our teams, I feel like.
I love it. Right on. And that's my supervisor, people. That's right. Always inspiring me. She's going to think, I'm not going to talk, Greg. If you're going to say those kinds of things, I'm not going to talk. No, keep talking, Erika. It's always good. So thank you. Okay, let's end it with you all. So what did you find interesting? What's resonating for you? What's something you want to put into action? I'd love to hear one person share it out loud, because then it goes up a bazillion points. I'm exaggerating, but the chances of it going into action go up for sure if you say it out loud. But other folks, just write it in the chat box, because I'd love to see it. What's resonating for you? What do you want to try? Any volunteers to close us out with a share? I'd love to hear a thought.
This engaging in more mutual sharing. I think we've talked about those things that aren't tangible, and the psychological safety and all those things. I just think it ties into talking about millennials and just sharing some of those things that we may have experienced when we first started working, or some of those things we felt when we were at a company or a school or somewhere, and how that played out in our behaviors, how that played out in our creativity, how that played out in ourness with people. So I just think talking through that, and then allowing people to share how they feel, and not being afraid to hear if you're making some mistakes, if you're making there's some things that may need to be changed if you're the supervisor, if you're the leader. So I think that's one thing that I like interesting, I'm going to put into practice.
Yeah, that's amazing. Talk about summing it all up. Really beautiful. And you also made me think of the importance of, again, I'm thinking of teaching. And when you see a teacher really doing what you were saying, Frankie, for me, it's very inspiring. Oh, I don't know the answer to that. That's a great question. Oh my God, I just totally messed that up. Like, it's the same in anything. If you see a human being transparent, which was at the top, right? Someone said that transparency, Juan's role model there on that team, and how important that is to just be yourself. And I love that you said, talk it out. I actually don't know what I'm doing right now, but let's experiment. I need your help. Like, those are exciting phrases. Erika, are you seeing anything? Or did you have to go? Erika had to go, I think. Let me see if
starting to, but then I was just about to hit leave. But I want to say what Sarah talked about. We speak of gratitude for our staff a lot, but striving to give more focused gratitude, like specifically, what do the team members do that we're grateful for? So that specificity, I think, is great.
And that's our time, everybody. Thank you so much for your incredible input. that impacted my output. I really appreciate you all, and I look forward to the next one.
Thanks for watching this video. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content. We'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Share your thoughts and experiences with the community. And remember, by subscribing and engaging with our channel, you're taking a positive step towards achieving your personal and professional goals. So join us in this journey of growth and success. We can't wait to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.